Yo. Welcome everybody to Swish for Real in the building. I got my boy co-host Billy Bob in the building. How you doing, Bob?
Yo, let's go, Mavs. It's a blessed
Bob, can you
day.
hear me? Got
Man. Oh, I'm good, man. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm good, Doc. I'm alive.
Today we got a special guest, Coach Hill. He has a program called Lifted Sports, Lifted Basketball. And we want to kind of give you the floor real quick to let everybody know about your program and just kind of give them the spiel and how they can find you and what do you offer as far as what your program does.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I think first of all, I want to thank everybody here for having me as a guest, man. So kind of give you a spiel what we do in a short end. We say we teach life. Our methodology is basketball. A lot of kids gonna get life lessons with our program. The reason why I'm saying excited, because actually about 2 months ago, we had partnered with an entity that we're hosting. Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're hosting an event with him tomorrow. So it's
Wow.
actually soon as I get off here, we preparing like the administrative stuff. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's a blessing from God. So it is. We've been doing this for over 15 years. Um, I'm originally from East Texas, and played at every level. I was an all walk on. Then I became an All American college player. Played overseas. I'm retired 2009. That's where the Lifted Sports and the brand had came from. And it's been a blessing. So we've had camps. We've done like NBA camps. We've done Nike camps. We've done Under Armour camps. The list goes on and on. A lot of our kids get recruited, and they some of them actually play on TV. So they get on full scholarship. So we do camps, like especially when kids don't have any events at school, holidays, stuff like that. We hold camps and we hold weekly skills training sessions, and we do have a team. Hope that's not too much, but
What does skill training how does it benefit a person, especially a kid, when they're trying to develop as a basketball player or athlete in general? What does having skill training does for an athlete, especially young ones?
great question, man. Skills training can add so much value. Like what we do, we say you get a what and a why. For example, teaching the fundamentals, what to do, and then what's reinforces that why. A lot of kids want to know why am I doing something because that's going to reinforce them and revert them back to their skills training. How important it is, man, is severely important. The development part of it, and just to kind of let you know how important it is. If you look at most of the Division One Power Five programs or Power Six or seven, however you want to put it, in the country, they have a player development trainer or specialist on their roster. If you look at if the NBA does it, and if you see the NBA push more to development, they are combating, in my opinion, with the AAU concept because the development is so key. I'm everybody familiar with
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, right?
Yes.
Okay. At one point, Kevin Durant went on record stating,
Mm-hmm.
man, he got out of AAU because he didn't get an ROI. His family didn't get an ROI because they weren't teaching. And that's the most important thing is teaching a player what they want to know for their position. And he actually got out of AAU. Um, and he focused one summer on strictly training. And it was astronomical. I've actually had more clients being convinced that that's the route
Mm.
to go. Because more to be transparent with you, AAU, we have a team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to use the AAU concept connotation or anything. I've been in the business for a long time. There's horror stories without ROI. I ask kids all the time. I say, "Hey, tell me this." I say, "You take away for the summer." I say, "You take away the stories you have, and you take away fun you had. What can you say you gained from travel ball AAU?" Some of them still ain't gave me an answer.
All right. All right. All right.
So there's some parents
Yeah.
spending thousands. When I say thousands of dollars,
So
I'm
I
talking
got
about. I
you.
know,
I got you.
yeah.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Hey, it is what it is. Man.
Shots fired, baby. Shots fired.
So Coach Hill, me and Big Mike, we coached Carrollton recreation teams. That's how I met him. And there's three things I tell the parents we meet the first time in the rec league. I said, first of all, let's have fun. Second of all, life lessons. You're going to learn life lessons through sports, like how to overcome adversity, how to keep giving to practice 100%, and how to learn how to navigate mentally and physically, make it more than just basketball, but using basketball to teach them how to get through life and grow them up as men. Because most of them were sixth, seventh, eighth graders. And then the third one was, give me your 100%. Maybe not, you can't do what someone else does, but if you give me everything you got when you're on the court, then I got no problem with you as a coach. But a lot of them, even after they graduate high school, they come back to you and say, thank you, coach, for teaching me, how to overcome and teaching me, they still remember you years later because you gave them more than just basketball drills. You gave them how to get through life as a young man.
Right about that, man, because I had a lot of good times coaching. Yeah. I had a lot of good times coaching. Waldo, your thoughts on training and what it does for a youngster when they're trying to develop themselves?
Well, I'm black and white old school, so for me, it starts with the individual. Like I grew up with 3-a-day workouts, so going with my stepfather, doing PT. I was clear going to do PT. You know what I'm saying? With him and his platoon of his company, right? And then coming back, clean up, go to school, and then work out with your school, your program, and then I'd have my own individual workout immediately after school, right? And then a lot of times after dinner, sometimes it would even be a fourth. Directly after dinner, I would go just do some basic conditioning, like sprints or running, stretching, something like that. But any given day, I played football, basketball, baseball, soccer in between, gymnastics, dance. So I was always active, even though I was carried too much weight. But we talked about the genital heart defect thing. But at any time, I was always building my network from little league. Every single person I touched, I would call and leave messages. I need to work on this, or can I do that? I wasn't a wrestler, but that led me to working out with wrestlers, right? So I didn't have money, so my personal trainers ended up being me working out with the wrestlers. So it's critical. So it set me apart, from everyone else. So I was still in little league playing like a middle schooler. And when I got to middle school, 7th grade, I was really playing like, what I'm saying? Varsity high school, because at that point, that's who I was working out with. And then when I became a freshman, what I'm saying? It was like, okay, straight to varsity. But it was due to those level of workouts. And then whether it was cross training or pulling from different coaches at different time to get that, specific athletic training, to build my strength, to build my speed, it was critical. You can just play and have fun, but then it was more fun and it was more stimulating, and it made a better person out of me, to have that drive. I always have that extra, somebody, whether they're niche or they're straight professional, pouring into me.
Yeah, was something you touched on there, Wild Dog, is something my dad used to
Facts.
always say is work ethic, whether it's in sports or in getting a degree, anything, work ethic will overcome a lot of other inabilities. At some point, talent level becomes equal, and so the person that has a mental edge or has a better work ethic will shine brighter. So
Yeah, man. Like I agree. I think it's what I tell kids, man. The work ethic piece of, like I told a group of kids I'm working with now, I said, hey, I will meet your commitment. Nothing more, nothing else, nothing less, nothing else. If I reach out to you 2 times, text message, no response, thank you. That's it. You won't. And that what I mean by that is like I know what type of energy, expertise, and connections, everything behind me. So it's if you're not pushing, you good. It's you good. And I think that's where a lot of people, like kids they gotta hear like they think, oh, you chasing me. Oh, okay. No,
Oh
okay.
yeah, I would run with my kids. Byron, he goes, oh, Bob likes to get out there and run with the kids. I'm like, yeah, if they're dogging it, I'm gonna get on their butt and make them run harder.
Right.
And the most talented guy, I probably push the hardest because
That's
you
how it should
expect
be.
more of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Yeah,
My favorite, Coach Hill, my favorite saying during practice was,
That's
"My grandmother can run faster than
that's
you,
awesome.
and she's in the grave."
oh, okay. Haven't heard that one, but okay. Like, I get it, man. Like, and one thing, yeah. One thing I can say, I think a lot of times, man, and been in, I call this education because being a coach is education. One of the best names a person can hear is, besides mom and dad, is coach, because that lasts forever. Most people can remember their PE coach more than they can remember their English teacher and everything,
Yes, sir.
because it's kind of like with a high school. The beat of the high school is athletics. You show me a athletic strong program, I'm gonna show you a school that's rich, morale, strong spirit.
Coach Hill, right now, I could call back to Radcliffe, Kentucky, to my little league football coach's house. He's gone, but his wife would be like, Randy? To, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yes.
Hold on. You say you from Kentucky?
Yeah, Louisville.
So you well, have you ever heard where obviously you know where Tennessee is, right?
Yeah, I got roots in Tennessee too.
What part?
Oh, well, Nashville and then the Westmoreland zone, like half a county somewhere, but I haven't been to
Oh,
visit yet.
I didn't talk about that. I didn't get into this deep. Have you ever heard of Clarksville, Tennessee?
Yes, of course.
Here at Austin P?
Um, Man, we have to talk online. You messing with me now.
I played it. I played it Austin P.
Yeah. Because the new me is like, it'll come to me, and then I'll be like, then I won't be able to stop talking. But yeah.
Yeah. My bad. Hey.
No, my mind is scratching at it, but it's like, yeah. I know more about Tennessee than I realize I know, because it's home. Kentucky and Tennessee is home. And then I'm old school, so we travel a lot for bowling. We travel for baseball. We travel for basketball. So gas was cheap. So it's like, and then truck drivers and military, it's like you need to go somewhere. It's like all you had to do is put the word out. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't necessarily always my family. I'd be in the, well, they don't do it anymore, but I'd be inside of a rig. They'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get you this far. Are you gonna go with him? And I have my gear, and I'd just be like, just, good to go.
Gotcha.
Or military would be all over the place. So, man, I'm thinking I probably even been there, because any chance I could get to go somewhere, see a game on any level, like even Boogie Ball, we go see youth play, we go to high school games, we go to WNBA games. So I've always just been open to experiences on all different levels,
Yeah, Clarksville is right outside of Nashville.
Yeah, so I've been, bro. I've been,
Yeah, I get it, man.
Let's move on to the next topic if y'all ready. I want to talk about what's going on. Not what's going on, but who are your favorite sports commentators back in the day? There's a lot of good ones now, but if you had to choose a sports commentator that was a big influence on you, had called a great game and made you think about that particular play, I'm gonna start with you, Boogie Bye. Who would be the first sports commentator to come to your mind that made an impact on your memory?
Well, first one that made an impact, or the guy that's the top of my list? Because those two different guys. McGuire made the first impression. That's when I first started watching NCAA tournament, and Marquette, 77 Marquette team had won, and I like Al McGuire. But the top guy on my list, and he's retiring this weekend at the age of 80, is Vern Lundquist.
Yes.
Who was a Cowboys announcer with Brad Cham and gave Brad Cham his start with the Cowboys and was on Channel 8 lead sportscast announcer. So, I mean, Vern Lundquist has had a lot of great calls. You know, a lot of have their own signature saying, but Vern Lundquist, not so much a patent saying, but he made a lot of great calls and has witnessed across a lot of sports. So there's a good article in the Dallas Morning News today because this weekend is his last Masters and he's retiring.
Wow. 80 years old.
Yes.
Wow. Well, dog, same question to you, man. What was your most impressive ones?
Well, Big Mike, you know, I had to keep it to basketball, you know, because, you know, I'm a big baseball, I'm all kind of sports fan, but sticking to basketball, the number one voice that changed my life was come playoff time. And especially like Magic Johnson's rookie year, you know what I'm saying? You know, and him doing what they did, and the Lakers really without Akeem, it's like, you know, without Kareem, it's like they not really gonna be able to get this done. And then the way he projected it and the way he announced it and the way he gave the atmosphere of what was happening, Marv Albert, you know what I'm saying? Marv Albert. and then starting with Marv Albert,
break that plate clean.
Then just going all the way into most of the, you know, NBA on TNT crew, you know, including, you know, Ernie and the squad and the Hall of Famers and Chuck and Kenny Smith. It's like, but even Kenny the Jet Smith, you know, my son Jet, you know, his initials panned out, but that's because of Kenny the Jet Smith and Jason, you know, the Jet Terry. So that's how serious I am about NBA on TNT. And that started with Marv Albert, you know?
And Coach Hill, can you give us your thoughts on the same topic?
I think me and him on the same wave. We connected from the Kentucky, Tennessee. I think that's where we connected. So he kind of as mental telepathy. But I would say, if I had to say anybody beside Marv Albert, I have to say this gentleman played at every level. He's a champion in life. This guy right here, man, we actually we are unofficially related. The one and only guy that's actually won 2 natties back to back. Craig Hill, come on. Craig Hill's amazing, man. He actually, the way he communicates, like, he wins on every level. Personal level, he wins. Came from good genes, man. Amazing. Like how he's like sitting on the couch talking to you about the game, and he breaks it down in layman terms with everybody. It's inclusive. And I think that's one of the best things about a commentator. You don't talk to a certain level where everybody can understand you. He breaks it down where it's inclusive. And if you look at the ratings, they actually show you too. Of course, you got to get with, you know, the Chuck Wagon, you know, Shaq. But I'm going to tell you somebody else. One more person and I'm done. Candace Parker.
Yeah. Well, yeah, TNT crew.
TNT crew, man. Amazing. Perk too, but, you know, Perkins, but, you know.
Well, and they say about some of the best announcers, even goes back to baseball, is they paint a picture for you. And I don't know if you've ever listened to Chuck Cooperstein on the radio, but you feel like you're at the game when you listen to Chuck Cooperstein. What do you think about Mike Breen and Jim Nantz, Coach Hill?
I think they're really good, man. I think, in my opinion, one of them is Leonardo, one of them is Raphael. I mean, come on, you're dealing with Picasso people. And what I mean, I paint pictures with words.
Yeah, when it comes to NCAA basketball, I mean,
Ooh.
Jim Nance and Dick Vitale are gods, so they're legends. So
It's one you missing. Special K, the Kellogg guy. The way he actually said some things. He said some things. I heard. I was like, oh my God. Let me go look it up in the dictionary. Another thing that's really good that he does. I say this all the time. He said you gotta squeeze the pumpkin. And he's talking about the basketball. I was blessed to have a conversation with him one time. And I told him, I said, look, and I recorded it too. I said, look, man, I said, hey, first of all, thank you for what you did to the game. I said, but you got me hooked on this word called pumpkin. He busted out laughing. I was like, okay. Man, I was nervous to talk to him, but hey, bucket list.
But you'd have to have Dick Vitale at that table as well.
Let me ask you guys this question. What are your thoughts on Stuart Scott? I mean, when he was around, he commentated a little bit, and the way he called ESPN highlights, he was amazing.
yes, definitely.
He painted a picture, but also he actually added the emotion into it. He was a bridge. He actually brought two worlds to collide. Like boom shaka, like what? Hold on. And his whole swag, his all that he brought in, and people were like, they didn't know how to take it. And that's kind of what Charles Barkley did. He came in as himself, nobody else.
All right.
Scott was kind of like he may go all the way. He was the equivalent for basketball in that.
Yeah.
And then Big Mike, so we don't get into trouble, I'd like to give a couple of honorable mentions. So of course, Mark Followill is our guy, but let's give homage to Chick Hearns, LA Lurkers, and let's give homage to Dick Stockton, who came out of the Celtics. So we stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And Coach Ortigal.
It's so many, man. It's so many, Doc.
Nah.
So many.
Seriously. I was gonna say, speaking of legends, two legends come to mind now on our next topic is Karl Malone and John Stockton. And Wilder, I want to start with you with this question. What are your thoughts on their legacy when it comes to the NBA? I know they're really good players and they had a good run at it and they went to the finals a couple of times. What are your thoughts on the legacy of John Stockton and Karl Malone for the Utah Jazz?
Don't start with me because I might overtone, but here we go. Dog is going in. So, I mean, so before I went cerebral, I just kind of got control of myself and I was just like, man, the mailmen and stock were winners who became known as legendary losers. You got people who never even made the playoffs, and these men, their legacy is legendary losers. So when the men met, it was kind of by chance, and they became two peas in a pod. And eventually, legitimately, they are spiritual brothers. They are brothers. Stock's kids refer to, Malone as Unc. You know what I'm saying? So they're, when you win the game, you just think it's professional, but it literally clearly crossed the lines in a very positive way. And so on the court, you say, well, what does it have to do with basketball? On the court, then it manifested itself as a symbiotic relationship. If you don't know what that means, like Coach Hill was saying, go look it up in the dictionary. But I do want to leave some meat on the bone. I can always come in later, but another thing I want to hit on was that we got this. You got this Michael Jordan and GOAT cult going on, and then this battle and everything. But you got to have competition. Iron sharpens iron. So I feel like the mailman and stock challenged MJ and the Bulls and confirmed the greatness of those Bulls teams. Okay. And then something I think y'all might not touch on because, it's a lot of jokes out there, but the regular fans are listening. But to me, being a patriot, you know what I'm saying? old school, old fashioned patriot, you know, the 92 and 96 Olympic teams won gold. Gold medals count. You know what I'm saying? You doing what you do for you or your city, but that's for everybody. That's for me too. And I'll hand it back off.
Facts.
Yeah. So, Bob, same question to you. What was your thoughts on their legacy as far as Karl Malone and John Stockton? I still think there's some reservation about Karl Malone since he went to the Lakers, but I want to hear what you thought about their legacy.
Well, I'm going to eat a lot on this plate here, but I'll start with this. In my opinion, they were one of the best two-man combinations in the NBA history. Period. Season Utah Jazz season wins, the number of season wins. 11 times they won 50 games or more. 3 times they won 60, 62, and 64. They went to the conference finals 6 times. They went to the NBA finals back to back.
Sheesh.
Some more back. Number 1 in career assists, John Stockton, 15,806. There's only 7 players win 10,000 or more assists in the entire league history. Karl Malone, so he was number 1 in assists. Stockton. Karl Malone is number 3 behind LeBron and Kareem in career points. There's only 7 players with 30,000 points or more. So you got 2 players where in 2 different statistical categories, there's only 7 other players in the history of the NBA. More facts on Karl Malone. And I guarantee you there's not many going to touch this. 10 times he played 82 games. 7 times he played 80 games or more. So 17 out of his 20 seasons, he played 80 games or more. 15 times he was in the MVP voting. In this last stat, which is one of my favorite, because they talk about 2010 guys, career number, 25 points, 10 rebounds a game. So I'll go back to my original set. The best 2-man game in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
Wow. You said a lot.
Can't refute those facts. Coach Hill, your thoughts on Utah and John Stockton? Yeah, their legacy.
Legends. They're legends, hands down. I concur less. But if I'm not mistaken, they're in the Hall of Fame, and they've been in there for years. So I think that speaks volumes. Like, the numbers are good. They're great. I mean, but look what they did to the game. Name 4 people that you know they play with at Utah.
Byron Russell.
And how do you
Paul
know him?
Pressey.
The smash bag. So, you know,
Mark Eaton. I only know that because in '84 he played against my alma mater, Oklahoma, who had Wayman Tisdale at the time. And when the Mavericks didn't draft Karl Malone, I pretty much followed Karl Malone's career. That's why I know more than a few of the players on that team.
Right. The answer, Coach Hill, is role players. You had the mailman, the stock, and then role players. Let's be honest with it. That's what it is.
So, short answer, man, their legacy is strong, man. Like, their legacy is strong as ammonia, in my opinion. If you look at it, man, like, they nice. Like, they really didn't shoot a lot of threes. They didn't. They played the simple basketball. When Karl Malone left, his legacy was already concrete solid. When he went to the Lakers, whatever happened, happened. But look at you. Have we ever seen a man that size be that athletic and have that much touch? No. No. So when you really look at it, so he was actually kind of opened the door for the Charles Barkley's of the world, the Zion Williams of the world, Joel Embiid to be able to be that agile, that powerful, and same shot and play on both sides of the ball. That's rare. John Stockton did the same thing, man. They were old school blue collar
Yeah, blue collar.
workers. You understand? So yeah, they legacy solid to me.
And then if I can come in, Big
So let
Mike.
me ask you this question, Coach Hill. Do you think they perfected the pick and roll?
Good question. I think they perfected it for their generation. What you see right now is part of the foundation that they set as well as others like Sam Cassell, Bob Cousy, those guys. You know, Bob Cousy is one of the best point guards in the world that's ever played basketball or stepped on the hardwood. Uzi Cousy. You know what I'm saying? So they had a big piece of their foundation of what you see the pick and roll, pick and pop and stuff like that because they did both. The game is extended. Maybe I'm getting off base, but the game they started from here, pick and pop. Now you got the big stretching out to the 3-point line. So they introduced it, and the generation now just took the baton and extended it now.
And Big Mike, you got to remember the teams they played against back then. You had the Lakers with Magic, Cooper, Worthy, Kareem, Portland with Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Houston with Elijah Wan, and originally Sam Cassell and Kenny Smith. I mean, the West was stacked. For you to make first team or second team NBA or even make an all-star, Stockton made several all-stars. Derek Harper never made an all-star because there were so many point guards in the West during that stretch.
Yeah. And then with that duo, Big Mike, John Stockton had 15,295 assists with Karl Malone alone in his career. So the majority of those record assists were directly to Malone.
So thinking about them as being superstars and being in the Hall of Fame, that's going to be our next topic. And I'm going to swing it back to you, Wild Dog. What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame? The building is very beautiful. I did a little research on it. It has great features. It's in a great city. What are your thoughts on it as far as even when players get to be enshrined in it? Is it something that's I say superficial in essence, or do you think it's warranted for them to be enshrined in such a place?
I'm glad you said superficial because I'm gonna go overrated as a fan because it's old school and it's almost like a requirement because of tradition. But it's 2024, right? And I was checking it out, and then my first thought in looking at it's like, okay, was like it's the NBA, and we made so many advancements and led the way in sports in so many ways. I'm like, I'm here in Texas, and it's like, yeah, that would be a nice, bucket list, like Coach Hill would say, to mark off my bucket list. But I really, really, really wish they would go 3D virtual. It's 2024, go 3D virtual, right? Whether it's pay-per-view access or whatever like that, but I really 100% wish they would go 3D virtual. I could sit on a headset in my living room with my son and take the tour, and that's where I'm at with it. Again, the building is beautiful. It's on my bucket list. Will I get to it? But I should be able to get to it because it's 2024. Man, go virtual, please. Go virtual.
Coach Chill, do you agree with that? I mean, I think the virtual ideal is actually kind of exciting because I would love to take a tour. It may cost a little bit, but I mean, in essence, what are your thoughts on being enshrined in the Hall of Fame as far as the NBA players go?
Well, I can see his point, man. Like everything else is virtual. Or a lot of things are virtual metaverse. The concern about that is if I'm part of the Hall of Fame committee, what I would do, my concern would be the security and access. Those are the two things I'm concerned about. Another thing that, what city is it at? Where is it at in America?
Cooperstown.
Cooperstown. If I was one of the officials or politicians in Cooperstown, I would fight like hell to say no, because that's tourist funding, those tourist dollars. So that's a fight. So it's a fight because not you got to see the implications. The implications. Access is great, but with access, something has to be taken away. So that means there has to be. I think it can be good, but that's a conversation between Cooperstown and man, that's tough. I think for the fans, it might be good if it could, but the security of can anybody get in there and get access and stuff like that, all that, hackers and all that. That's the concern about it. But I think it could be a good
Yeah, I agree
situation
with you.
if it's worked out. If not, might have to stay where we are.
So Bob, I got a question for you when it comes to getting into the a Hall of Fame for the NBA players. If there's some players, and I know I'm asking a facetious question, is there some players that don't really deserve to be in there? Or are they just putting them in there because it's a fan favorite, or is just as the voting is kind of skewed at some times?
Let me see. Spot on. It's like he was reading my mind. It's probably the easiest Hall of Fame to get in. My opinion. I mean, they have college, and rightfully probably, and they have announcers. They have even the women's game. I mean, Caitlin Clark, this get a lot more attention. By the way, the women's NCAA final, because it was on the regular TV, had more viewers than the men's final. But yeah, it's it doesn't get the recognition or the stuff that most people think about, because you think of basketball, they talk about the in-season tournament. What if you had a Hall of Fame game in the middle of the summer or in the middle of the winter where you could celebrate the Hall of Fame, just like to do for football? Uh, but when I first read the question, my mind went somewhere else than actually the Hall of Fame building itself. I thought of Madison Square Garden, the original Boston Garden, and the Forum. And people probably seen that more than they've seen the actual Hall of Fame. But you know, there's no hoopla. There's not. I mean, even when Dirk got inducted last year into the Hall of Fame, they had a traveling party. It was covered by the newspaper and a blip on the sports. It doesn't get a lot of coverage. But yeah, I mean, it's compared to the other sports, it's easy to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
But Big Mike, if I can rebuttal for a second, right?
And that's crazy that it's like that. Sure.
But I know we're talking basketball, but for instance, like pay-per-view for boxing and pay-per-view for wrestling, right? Those pay-per-view customers actually end up being ticket buyers to actually go to actual events. Like one good healthy percentage lends it to the other. That's my and then I'm in Texas. I mean, I'm not going north of the Mason-Dixon line. So it'd be hard pressed for me to get me to Springfield, Massachusetts, unless it's taking my son to MIT, down the road, because he'll be out there in the Boston area. That'll be my best bet. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Wow.
It is what it is, man. I think the Hall of Fame has some good and bad because you get to visit it. And then, like you said earlier, Coach Hill, the tourism, it could be beneficial for the economy out there for sure. But speaking of Hall of Fame, since Dirk got inducted to the Hall of Fame recently, let's move on to the Mavs and their franchise, man. They've been kind of up and down when it comes to winning games since their existence. When they first started, they was not too bad. But with you, I'm gonna start with you, Wild Dog. What were your thoughts when the Mavs first came to town, and your thoughts on the franchise in general?
I mean, the Mavs were established in 1980. and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm like, expansion team, we don't need no team in Dallas. I was against it. You know what I'm saying? I was against it. And little did I know, arriving in Texas in 1989, that my life, you know, and my family would be in Dallas. And, you know, and yeah, as a kid, I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to be the one to make it to the NBA one day. But I never would have thought as an entertainer and then spending 12 years with the Mavericks. You know what I'm saying? So it's being part of the Mavericks, it's totally engulfed in community. Even the wins is about North Texas. The wins is not so much even about you as a player, you as an organization, but you know, everyone has a piece of the pie. Everyone that buys a piece of merch, everyone that buys a ticket, everyone that watches, they all share in a part of this. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then of course, having been with them for 12 years, I'm like, I see how many jobs it creates. I see how much money the Mavericks being, you know, in Dallas and literally physically in Dallas, how many jobs and how much revenue, small businesses, corporations, how much money that generates. It's crazy, you know? Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, when you came to Dallas, what were your thoughts on the Mavericks as far as the franchise? Have you had any reservations about their success? Because I know now. I think every team in this area has won a championship, and especially, you know, the Mavericks being part of that area code. What are your thoughts when you first kind of think about the Mavericks and the legacy that they have as far as a franchise?
Amazing, man. They, you know, I think it's amazing on so many levels. I was kind of like, well, Wild Dog said, like it's added so much value. Like there's not too many cities like Dallas in the world. It's really not, man. I think I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but oh well, I don't care. It doesn't matter. So
blame it on the dog. Go ahead, Coach Hill. Blame it on the dog.
But man, I like it. My concern is I thought the Mavericks were gonna leave because all the buildings and everything was around. Like you can't even see it. I'm like, oh, that's the AAC, you know. But I've always been a Mavericks fan. I love them. Mark McGuire, Ron Hart. I mean, all those guys, man. Like the kids, the Jays, all that. I really love them, Doc. And the economy really has helped. This is not official what I'm about to say, but I think he thinks that one of the reasons would help is because we got a WNBA, and I think the success of the Mavericks helped Dallas bring. There's not too many cities that have an NBA team and a WNBA team, and man, we sports time. Like we sports time.
Yeah.
And the economy showing. I love it, man. The reunion arena.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Bob
Oh yeah.
Bob and I used to go to games at the Reunion Arena. So
me and my dad, we sit in the nosebleed, come from Thailand. Man.
With my head up against the rafter, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, Bob, what are your thoughts on the legacy of the Dallas Mavericks franchise? Because I know me and you are super fans, and I know Wild Dog. I'm gonna assume you're a super fan. I've been watching the Mavs since the '80s, since I was a kid. So, kind of give us your thoughts on your when you seen the Mavericks come to town and get all the hoopla and you know, just give us your thoughts on the franchise in general.
Well, like Wild Dog, I was a 76er fan because of Dr. J. But my freshman year, there was a senior on our high school basketball team named Winford Boynes. And Winford Boynes made the first cut for the Dallas Mavericks. And he actually played a few games. They cut him and picked up Brad Davis. So I didn't move to Dallas until 84, but that was my first Mavericks game was in 84. So, I mean, even having gone to Oklahoma University and being a bit a Boomer Sooner fan, I'm a bigger Mavericks fan than I am a Boomer Sooner fan.
Good man.
But
Good man.
let me give you kind of another perspective because Coach Hill and Big Wild Dog hit on this. Prior to 1980, Dallas only had 2 pro sports teams. The Chaparrals, which were in Dallas, moved to San Antonio, became the Spurs, and the other football team moved to Kansas City, became the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Stars didn't move to Dallas until 93, and had it not been for Reunion Arena, they would have had no place to play hockey. And now the Stars have like 8, 9 practice facilities and a big old facility up in Frisco and a minor league hockey team. And don't forget the legends, that the Mavericks. So the Mavericks opened the door for Dallas to become a 4-sport city. The 4 major sports: hockey, basketball, football, and baseball. Not, you had the sidekicks. You have FC Dallas. You have Frisco Rough Riders. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But when they came in and then the Stars joined, I think I may have the number wrong, but I know it's not 30. But Pittsburgh don't even have a basketball team. So there's very few cities. I think it's like 7 or 8 that have all 4 major sports or considered major sports. So Dallas has one of them. Since the AAC was built and opened in 2001, multiple high-rise buildings have been built. Like Coach Hill said, you can't even see it. That was nothing but dirt and grass.
Right.
Billions.
Yeah.
Billions have been spent in infrastructure, residential buildings returned, and people began living in downtown, and uptown has gone through a big expansion.
Yeah.
You don't have that without the AAC and the Mavericks and the Stars.
Yep.
And more name recognition. Dallas, when they first got a team, was considered a small market. And now Dallas is a big market. When I moved in Dallas, if you include all the suburbs and Fort Worth and all, it was 1.5 million people in 84.
Wow.
And now it's 8 million people. You got an international airport that was built the year before the Mavericks started. So you're adding not only building infrastructure, but other infrastructure in the city that has gone on. And by the way, for good measure, the Stars, the Mavericks, and the Rangers have all won a championship since the last time the thinking Cowboys won a Lombardi trophy.
Wow.
Shots fired.
And then Big Mike, I like to come in because we got Coach Hill here. Being a maniac and part of a lot of the announcements and promotions and community work. I mean, even my dance team got recognized with a community award, and it sits in the trophy case. My last understanding. So, like, how many parks were developed, how many courts were built, how many courts were rehabilitated, support of reading programs, development of youth character, regardless of your sport, and then also the development of elite basketball players, So, falling into Coach Hill's area, the Mavericks are all for it. And a lot of times, regardless of whether you play sports or not, or or other sports or anything, we've been about youth development and advancement and development of the community.
Can I say?
And I'd like to hear Coach Hill's opinion on this. One of the things, Larry Johnson was known for Dallas, and then Chris Voss. But in the last 5 years, there's been more players drafted out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area than the only other 2 cities are Florida and in California.
Tyrese Maxey.
Local talent here is just, you don't have to go to AAU. You don't have to go travel to California. Just the local Hoop Fest had Kate Cunningham and Jalen Williams and all them play in high school. For $10, you got to see 20 or 30 of the top 100 players. Dallas-Fort Worth market for high school basketball, it just, you don't have that without the Mavericks and all the stuff that Wild Dog was talking about building courts, or with Coach Hill and people like him and Dwayne O'Neal and Drive Time. It's crazy to see. I mean, 7 players for the Dallas-Fort Worth area were drafted in the first round last year. I think there was more than a couple of them that were in the lottery picks.
Man, look here. I raised my hand because you knew where I was going with it, man. I tell people all the time, Dallas is the new mecca of basketball. I know it was born in New York. I know the East Coast, they did a lot of. When you look at the numbers, like you said, Tyrese Maxey. You look at Randall with the Knicks, man. When you look at it, and
Deontay George, R.J. Hampton.
Man, the list goes on, man. Like when I say go on, and you got to.
Well, you're going to remember this name, Coach Hill. I'm sure you've seen him play. And I took Wild Dog. I was dragging him halfway across the city for him to see Trey Johnson as a sophomore play against Cason Wallace and Ryan Griffin. So you remember that name, Trey Johnson. He's better than Artero Morris, and Artero Morris was pretty dang good.
And they saw me stand up there ticket list, and they hooked us up.
Really?
That game was crazy.
It was loud. You couldn't hear yourself scream.
No, it was like the kid at the free throw line at the end of the game. I'm just like, I was just praying for him. I'm just like, I can't even sit here, let alone shoot a free throw.
Nah, when I tell people all the time, man, like basketball, Dallas-Fort Worth is where it's at, and it's actually going to expand. And I'm going to tell you why. If you look at it, y'all know Post cereal, the big brand Post?
Yeah.
They're coming to Dallas-Fort Worth. They're coming to Wilmot.
Yeah.
All these companies are coming to Dallas-Fort Worth.
Whoa.
They're going to boost the economy. Toyota's here. Google, from what I understand, will be in the southern part of Dallas-Fort Worth. So what does that mean? That means more dollars, more people are moving. I've never really heard anybody say, I'm retiring moving up north. They say, I'm retiring moving down south. No. If you look at it, most people are coming down south. That means, here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you what really, oh my God. Y'all finna get me going on this, boy. But anyway, no.
Dude, Perfect that's out of Dallas. They went to Texas A&M, just got $100 million to build a theme park in Dallas.
You validate the layer the foundation you're sticking in that point, man. So it's actually going to get better, man. Like when I say it's going to get better, it's going to get gooder and gooder and gooder. That's how it is going to be.
You and me, we need to write a scouting report and give it to Nico Harrison, because there's a lot of local talent the Mavs have passed on.
Yes.
Man, look, when I say he ain't lying, man,
guys, I was gonna say, man, this actually been what an amazing show that we had. Yeah. I was gonna say the show today, that was the last topic though, but the show today was amazing, man. I appreciate all of y'all coming on. So we're gonna close out. So Coach Hill, let everybody know where they can see you at on the internet, your social media, your YouTube, whatever you got going on. Let people know where they can find you at.
Good statement. On Instagram, you can find us at lifted_basketball. On YouTube, let me kind of slow play that one. Lifted_basketball. On Facebook, Lifted Basketball. For me personally, that's fine. BOBBYEHILL. YouTube, Instagram, those are our platforms. You're going to see a lot of content. And what I mean by that, a lot of the things we do, and as Wild Dog says, man, we do a lot of myth busting. We do a lot of educating. I tell my parents, after a phone call, if you don't come with us, you're going to be educated. And you're going to know how to move forward. You might not even pay for it. That's fine. But we're going to send you out better than you left. But that's our information, man. info@liftedsports.com. Man, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. When I get back to my phone, I already know it's blowing up because they at Jalen Williams thing tomorrow. Hey, hold on, pause. Do y'all know who Oklahoma City playing on Sunday?
Yeah, they're playing the G League team of the Mavericks because we're going to rest everybody.
So, Wild Dog, let the people know where they can find you at, man, your social media handles and all that good stuff, man.
Oh, hey, I keep it simple. I get my speech therapy. You can find me on YouTube at Wild DOWG 357. Again, on YouTube doing sports commentary at Wild DOWG 357. Thank you. Blessings to you.
I appreciate you. And last but not least, my co-host, Boogie Bob. Where can the people find you at? And give them all your information, social media handles, and all that good stuff, man.
Swish for real. That's where they can find me. I'm on Facebook. That's one of the only presidents, retired. We don't like to do stuff. But, I got to promote my man, MVP. If he don't get it this year, like I said a few episodes back, there's always a setup here. But, hey, I want one of those Pravi MVP T-shirts they were wearing the other day. Historically, let me give you some numbers for Luka. He's number 1 in scoring. Everybody knows. He's top 10 in rebounding. He's top 15 in steals. He's top 20 in the 4 major categories. Nobody that's ever been in the top 20 of all those categories has not won the MVP. So voters, put Joker, put him aside. He won the championship. He already got his flowers. It's time to give Luka his flowers.
That part.
LD in the building. Yo, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for coming on. We had a great show tonight. Coach Hill, thank you so much. Boogie Bob, as always, we get it crunk. Wild Dog in the building. Roo. You guys have a great rest of your weekend, man. Swish for real. We out, man. Y'all have a great one, man. Peace.
All right.